it's time for me to be the main character. Hi, hello, how are you today? I hope you're having a fantastic day. We have something super special planned for today, and it's super special every day in case you haven't noticed. But if you're new here, hi, I'm Sarah. And today I'm going to be telling you about the 25 books that I would like to read in 2025. Will I get to them? We'll see. You gotta keep me honest. You gotta keep me honest. I tried to pick books that I already have on my shelf. So a lot of my physical TBR is on here. And then we have a few Kindle reads. And then beyond that, there's like 8, maybe 9 new releases coming out by authors that I already love. Continuations of series that I'm already obsessed with. So I know that I will definitely get to those. As far as these go, I'm excited about them, but some of them make me a little nervous. Also, if any of these books are one of your favorites or really speaks to you and you're like, oh my gosh, I love that book, please tell me, because I feel like I need to be pushed to read things sometimes. And there are things that I want to read, but because there's so many options, I'm like, okay, fine, I'll just reread something that I already know and love. So please, if one of these or several of these stick out to you, let me know. We're going to be starting off with Blood and Steel. Now, this book I've seen everywhere. What I like about it is that it is a completed series, because the thing with fantasy, you get into a book, you love it, and you're like, oh my gosh, yes, let me go buy the next one. No, it's not there. It is not there. So it's like, oh, you have to wait a year and a half for the next book. No, not with this. And these are all on Kindle Unlimited, which I really like. And I've seen Bailey talk about this, and I know that when we did the little booktuber book swap thing, that Maria ended up reading this and loved it. So I feel like I should be getting to it relatively soon. I really like that it's completed. I keep getting the urge to do a Throne of Glass reread. I really just want to reread Throne of Glass because I love those characters and the vibes. But so maybe a different fantasy series is going to fill that void for me. We can hope. Keeping in the fantasy realm, if you will, we have a little 2-for-1 special, 1 Dark Window and 2 Twisted Crowns. What I like about this is that it is a completed duology, and it's only 2 books. I only have to read these 2 books to get the entire story, which makes me so happy. I've heard that this is fantasy romance, not romantasy, and that I would like the male main character. That's what I've been told. So then, yes, please. I also think, are these on Kindle Unlimited? Let me check. Can confirm, yes, these are on Kindle Unlimited, which is great. I really like to get through my physical TBR by way of my Kindle because I just read faster on my Kindle, so I like to read books that I already have, so then I feel like I'm getting through my physical TBR. But 1 Dark Window, 2 Twisted Crowns, fantasy, dark vibes, I don't know. That's about everything I know about this, but I've heard that these are really good. I feel like I have a lot of fantasy on my 2025 TBR. I haven't been reading a lot of fantasy recently, and I feel like after Throne of Glass, I really stopped with the fantasy. Not stopped. I'll say I slowed down with fantasy after I finished Throne of Glass because I was like, nothing will ever fill this void. So, also, I've been wanting to read the first in a series that's not completed, so that's another reason that I've been pushing off a lot of the fantasy that I already own. But this is a completed series, and so is Blood and Steel, so what am I waiting for? Great question. Also, with some of these, I have 2 books in a number, like in one spot. So there's gonna be more than 25 books on this list, but so for 1 Dark Window and 2 Twisted Crowns on my 25 in 2025, we're just gonna have 1 Dark Window, but I also want to separately read 2 Twisted Crowns. You got me? Cool, I'm glad we're on the same page. Next up, we have 2 books that were gifted to me by my friend Simone. We have Offside and Shutout. And the thing about me, in case you're new here, I'm a big hockey romance gal. I love the hockey romance. It just does something to me. It brings me so much joy. So I've been wanting to read these. I think they're both on Kindle Unlimited as well. The thing is, I've been wanting to read this one because look, a nice little short and sweet book. However, this is technically book 2. So I gotta get through Big Bertha first. I mean, how many pages is this? Okay, these are bonus chapters. So let me, okay, the end. 526 pages. So she's a chonker. I've heard from Simone that although she's a chonker, she is real good. But that's just been the reason I haven't picked it up, because I'm like, okay, that's a lot, all right? But what I do love about these is the spines. Look at how gorgeous, with the little jerseys on them, you guys, I love them. So I also thought that this was going to be a longer series for whatever reason, but I think it's just these 2 books in the series, and then she's writing a separate hockey romance series. So this one says, Heartbreaker, Troublemaker, and My Ex's Biggest Rival. I love that kind of like revenge-y vibe, yes. And then this one says, College Hockey, Brothers Teammate Romance. So best friend's sister. Brothers teammate. I guess they're not best friends if it doesn't say brother's best friend, but he's the tall tattooed stranger I hooked up with on Halloween, and now he's my new roommate. Ah! Okay. This one sounds fantastic, but that was never the problem. This one also sounds really good, but I've just been a little intimidated by the thickness of the book. So next up we have Rise of the Cinder Fae by, I'm pretty sure this is Whitney Dean. Yes. But I have the special edition with, isn't that beautiful? And then wait, there's more. Hold on. Please keep holding. Look at that cover. Like, are you joking? And then bam, the enemies are becoming lovers. You guys, the only reason I have not read this book is because I've heard it ends on a cliffhanger or something adjacent to a cliffhanger, and the second book isn't coming out till November of 2025. But I definitely will be reading it as the release date of book 2 gets closer. So I will for sure be reading this one in 2025. This is just a beautiful book, and I will definitely be buying the same cover edition of the second book. Speaking of hockey romances that I have not picked up because it's just a chonker, another book on my 25 in 2025 is Mile High by Liz Tomforde. I've heard nothing but great things about this series. Actually, let me rephrase. The series as a whole, yes, but for the first book, I've heard like, oh, it's good, but the other ones are better. But I want to read them in order. So knowing that the first one is almost 600 pages, and I'm just gonna have to get through 600 pages in order to get to the goodness that is book 2, is the main reason I haven't picked it up. But I do wanna read this series, so again, this is one of those instances where like Mile High is the only book on my 25 in 2025, but the rest of the series I do wanna read as well, especially because I've heard such great things about book 2. And Simone's been telling me, she's like, you're gonna love The Right Move. You're going to love it. So naturally, I'm like, well, let me read Mile High so that I can get to The Right Move. I've also heard the audiobook is pretty good, so I might do it that way. I added this one to the list this morning because I saw a post about it on my Instagram. I've seen this person posting about it over and over again, and apparently the book just went from indie published to now trad published. So Heavenly Bodies is described as the most delicious, slow burn, fantasy, enemies to lovers moment that you need. And y'all know I love a good enemies to lovers, and I also love fantasy. So the thing is, I don't know if there's a book 2. And I don't know if it ends on a cliffhanger. But the person that posts about it, like, constantly posts about it. I've seen this so much just from that one account. So I feel like I've been convinced. Obviously, it's on my 25 in 2025. I added it to my wish list because they took it off of Kindle Unlimited. I've had it on my Kindle Unlimited list. So side note, On my Amazon, when I find a book that I want to read that is on Kindle Unlimited, I have a separate list, separate from my book wish list, that I put all the Kindle Unlimited books on, so that when I'm thinking to myself, oh, what do I want to read? I just scroll through the Kindle Unlimited list on my Amazon. Going back to what I was originally saying, I had it on my Kindle Unlimited list for the longest time, and then they took it off of Kindle Unlimited when it got traditionally published. So now I'm gonna have to read the physical copy, but oh well. Then we have Rhapsodic. This book by Laura Thalassa. Now, if you are new here, hi, I'm Sarah. I am a big fan of Laura Thalassa, especially Pestilence by Laura Thalassa. Oh, the book is so good. The book is so good. I love that series, but book 1 and book 4 are probably my favorites, but books 2 and 3 are still really, really good. The premise, in case you were wondering, it is the 4 Horsemen series, so each book is following a different horseman of the apocalypse as he comes to Earth to, get rid of the human race. How romantic. And so in the first book, I picked it up because the female main character's name is Sarah, spelled the same way as my name. So I was like, oh, it's time for me to be the main character. And I loved every second of it. So Pestilence in that book. So Pestilence, the thing I really like about him is he's interacting with humans for the first time, and so he doesn't really understand the way that humans work, and it's really cute, like a really cute dynamic between him and Sarah, and I really, really liked it. I need to reread that book. It's on Kindle Unlimited. I cannot say enough amazing things about that book, but I've also heard really good things about the Bargainer series, the Bargainer series, and I was not disappointed at all with the 4 Horsemen series, but I've seen this a lot more. I've seen people posting about this all the time, and I've never really seen people posting about the 4 Horsemen series, which I think needs more love because it is so dang good. Ooh, so she's a siren. Okay, so this is fantasy. Well, not that the 4 Horsemen series isn't fantasy, but this is like, I'm seeing sirens and fae. I'm intrigued. Next up, we have another book that's on my wish list, but it's The Co-op by Tara DeWitt. I have a friend on Instagram that loves Tara DeWitt, and she posts about her all the time. So I've been influenced, but this is one that I, again, had on my Kindle Unlimited list for the longest time, and then it got taken off of Kindle Unlimited, I'm pretty sure. Let me actually double check that before I go spreading misinformation. Let me double check. I totally lied. It is on Kindle Unlimited. So I do like the new cover change though, but it is on Kindle Unlimited still, and it just looks really good. It looks like it's giving the same vibe as Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. I don't know if it does at all. I haven't read the book, but I really think that that's the vibe we're getting there. It says, they say love and construction don't mix. By that logic, hate and construction may as well be condemned. So, ooh, enemies to lovers. Yes. Where do I sign? Then we have Trial of the Sun Queen. The main reason I have not picked up this book is because the series isn't finished. And I don't know if it's still unfinished or if it's about to be finished. But I think in 2025, the series will be finished. So I have plenty of time to read this book. I might try to get one of my book clubs to read it. So then that way I kind of have to read it, but I do want to read. I really want to get back into fantasy because fantasy just makes me so happy. And it really like tickles my brain where I feel like I'm actually thinking about what different things mean and like the little nuggets of information that are dropped. Like I really like that part of reading a fantasy book, but I don't want to do all that work and then there's no book 2. I'm pretty sure the first 3. Let me check. It looks like the 4th book came out in November, but I don't know because it didn't say the 4th and final installment of this series. They just said, oh, the 4th book. So I don't know if the series is still not finished, but I will say that on the Amazon thing, hello. In the Amazon description, it says A Court of Thorns and Roses meets Fourth Wing. In this pulse-pounding, enemies to lovers fantasy romance with fae magic, high stakes trials, and a dark prince. Okay. So again, the main reason I did not pick it up is because I don't have the rest of the books in the series, but I think they're on Kindle. and it wasn't completed. But I am willing to give it a shot, especially if there's already 4 books out. That's a lot for me to get through. This next one is kind of a 4-for-1 special, but it's the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy plus The Hobbit. I think I'm gonna read The Hobbit first. I've heard that the audiobook for the Lord of the Rings ones by Andy Serkis are really good. But yeah, let me actually see how tiny the words are. Okay. The words aren't like terribly tiny, but I got this when I went on my bookstore trip with my mom for my 23rd birthday. 23 bookstores in 5 days. If you want to go check that out, it's on my channel. You don't got to look far back for it. But this was from the book haul that I did for my birthday, and I got these then separately I got the special edition of Lord of the Rings, having never read it because it was on sale. Usually $90, it was $30, so basically free. That's how I see it. So I do want to read this whole series. I love the movies. I love the movies, and I feel like the books are going to give me more of what I already love. So no complaints. The only thing is, I've heard from my brother-in-law's read these books, and he was like, some of the parts are just really dragging. Like we get it, you're walking, but he said that the books are still really good. I feel like this is a lot of my physical TBR, and I'm really happy about it. Next up, we have a book by somebody that I know personally. This is If I Asked You to Stay by Brianna Remus, and this is a signed edition. Look at that. So Brianna is in my book club. She is one of the nicest people that I've ever met. She is like such a sweet person, and she's so, I don't know, I'm trying to find the right word for it. Like she's so supportive. I feel like makes it her job to uplift everybody around her, and it feels so good to be her friend. Like I just really appreciate her company, and I just really love her as a person. Like she's so great, and she's an author, which is a bonus. So now I get to read her work. I got this at a local Barnes & Noble that had a really huge signed edition section. If you saw my Barnes & Noble video from a little while back in Bookmas, this was part of the haul. This is book 1 in the Pebblebrook Falls series, and it is a small town romance series, and the man has a southern accent. I don't need to know anything else. I love small town romance. I eat it up. And this just sounds great. I think it's also Second Chance. More updates to come later, but this whole series is on Kindle Unlimited. Make sure to go follow Brianna. She is so amazing. I feel like I should have read this book by now, but I somehow haven't. In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. Now, I loved Love Light Farms, and I honestly might do a reread of it because I'm needing the Christmas vibes, but I loved Love Light Farms, and I bought this immediately. By immediately, I mean I ordered it on Amazon, and then I picked up a different book in that time, and I just completely forgot about this book. And I know my friend Kennedy has been telling me that this series is so amazing. All 4 books are amazing, and I believe her. I totally believe her. It's just for whatever reason, I just haven't picked it up. So I think maybe a reread of Love Light Farms is gonna get me back in the mood to read this. I have been so scared, you guys, to read this book because this author's been really hit or miss for me. Wild Love by Elsie Silver. And yes, it is an autographed copy. So with the Chestnut Spring series, I hated book 1. Hated book 1. One of my least favorite books of all time. Flawless by Elsie Silver? Nope. No. Heartless, I think it was so good in my head because Flawless was so bad, but I was like, wow, this really exceeded my expectations. So Heartless was great, Powerless was fine, Reckless, chef's kiss, fantastic. And then Hopeless, fine. Then I was like, oh, let me try her other series. What's it called? The Gold Rush Ranch series. And I just read book 1, Off to the Races, and then I said, no, nope, not for me. So all that to say, the reason I've been putting off Wild Love is because I've seen mixed reviews already, and that makes me nervous. It's small town, it is not cowboy. I've seen a lot of misunderstanding going on with whether or not this is cowboy and people putting it in the cowboy romance category. Just because she's a cowboy romance author doesn't mean all of her books are cowboy romance, okay? The Off to the Races, not cowboy romance. This, also not cowboy. This is small town. She's been driving him wild for years, the good kind of wild, the bad kind of wild. But mostly the kind of wild that comes with wanting your best friend's little sister and knowing you can't have her. Okay, so it's brother's best friend. Yeah. So it's brother's best friend, kind of childhood friends-ish to lovers. I can get down with that. I think I just need to be in the right headspace for it. But I will be reading it in 2025, especially. It's on Kindle Unlimited, so I can read it. I can read it on my Kindle and still not mess up this signed copy, because if I don't like it, I'm just gonna give this to somebody who wants it. So I bought this book simply because I saw people posting about it on Instagram. I haven't read a single book by this author, but The X-Files by Jessica Joyce. So this is a second chance romance, and for some reason I always was like, no, second chance isn't for me, it's not for me. Apparently it is, because some of my favorite romances are second chance, because there's just that like sweet tenderness to it. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like, I really like it. And the tension of like, oh, I really like, sorry, in case it wasn't clear, I really like second chance romance. So I've heard this one is great. Estranged exes must stick close together to save their best friend's wedding after a string of disasters in this swoony and steamy second chance romance. Again, I have this friend on Instagram that she just posts about this all the time. Like, some people, like most of these are in here because the people that I follow, it's like their book, the book that they're always talking about. And so I've just kind of gathered those all together into my 25 and 2025. This one was gifted to me by my sister-in-law for my birthday. This is Falling for Gage by Mia Sheridan, and I love Mia Sheridan. Archer's voice and Travis. And then to wrap it all up with Falling for Gage, yes, please. I hope we get to see a little bit of Archer in this, but I really like Mia Sheridan's writing. In case I haven't said this before, Archer's Voice is one of my favorite contemporary romances of all time. I think it is one of the best ones ever. I'm really excited to read Falling for Gage because I love the small town vibe that she creates. I just really love this author, so I'm really excited to get into this one. I've been avoiding this book because I feel like it's gonna make me cry. And sometimes you want a book that's gonna make you cry, and other times you're like, please no, stay away from me. And that's been me, like recently, I've been like, please no, stay away from me. But Next of Kin by Hannah Bonham Young. Yes, I got that right. Next of Kin by Hannah Bonham Young. So I loved Out on a Limb, loved it. It was so good, one of my favorite books of the year. And it made me tear up a little bit, but not cry as much as I thought it would. Now this, based on the description, I do think it's something that will make me cry. So I just need to be in that headspace. But again, I've heard that this one's really good, and I've heard the second one's really good, and I own both of them. So I want to read Next of Kin and Next to You. Another hockey romance in here, because of course, guys, I can't help myself. I can't. If it's not a hockey romance or a cowboy romance, it's going to be really hard to get me to read it, but a hockey romance. So this says just at the top, his name's Reese. We love. Reese is desperate to feel anything. Sadie wants to stop feeling so much. I feel like this is going to tug on my heartstrings, but also like shatter my heart and put it back together. So that is why I picked this one up. Oh yeah, okay, so he's a hockey player, she's a figure skater. So I was like, okay, I like the vibes, but we'll see where it goes. I think one of them struggles with anxiety, and I'm like, I think that's the main reason I picked it up, because I was like, oh, I feel seen. So that wraps up my physical TBR, and now we're gonna move into the 2025 releases that I am very excited about, and I will most definitely be purchasing if I haven't already pre-ordered it. First, we have Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. Y'all, I loved Fourth Wing, loved it. Iron Flame was fine. I do need to do a reread. And then Onyx Storm, I pre-ordered the one through Amazon, and then I bought tickets to like a midnight release party that includes the book in it. So whichever one is nicer, I'll probably just end up, actually, I'll probably keep both of them and then do a giveaway with the second one. We'll see. So I'm gonna have 2 copies of it, and I love that it's gonna have the dragon sprayed edges, but regardless, this is the last chance for Rebecca Yarros in my mind. Because Fourth Wing, honestly, if they would have just made Fourth Wing a standalone, I would have been fine with that. Iron Flame just kind of turned into something completely different for me, and I don't know, I didn't love it. And then Onyx Storm, I'm hoping that we get a little bit more of what we got in Fourth Wing to kind of balance everything out. Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams is coming out. I really love the Rome, Kentucky series. I think it's called the Win in Rome series. Small Town Romance series. Closed Door. I do read Closed Door, you guys. But it's a closed door romance series. I really, really love these characters. So I'm really excited to get into this town again. On January 28th, Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young is gonna come out. I have a few friends that were ARC readers for this book and they loved it, ate it up. The graphics they're making are so stinking cute. And so I'm really, really excited to get into this one. Again, I loved Out on a Limb and I'm really excited to see Out of the Woods in person. February 11th, we're getting Skith. Is it Skith? Skith? Y'all, I don't know. We're getting Skith and Sparrow. I really hope that's how you say it, by Bryn Weaver. I loved Butcher and Blackbird. I loved Leather and Lark, and so I really can't wait to have the completed trilogy in my hands. I love the mix of the dark romance with the like rom-com energy. I didn't think I could laugh while reading a dark romance, but here we are. Also on February 11th, we have First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. I know almost nothing about this book, except that the cover is really cute, and I liked Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison, but I haven't read anything else by her, but this cover just speaks to me. It makes me want to go purchase the book. On April 15th, we have the final installment of the Rebel Blue Ranch series, Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage, and I honestly was surprised that I really thought it was just going to be 3 for whatever reason, but I'm glad we're getting this story. This seems like a right person, wrong time kind of, not second chance because they weren't together in the first place, but the longing that we get, the pining that we see in book 3 for the mailman character in book 4, I'm ready to eat it up. I'm so ready. And also like a runaway bride, yes. I don't have a cover for this one, but it comes out on April 29th. This is Reckoning by Jillian Eliza West. This is the sequel to Ruin, which is the first in the Infernus duology. Completed duology coming soon, but the first book was incredible. The first book was great. You want enemies to lovers. You want fantasy. You want kind of mythology retelling. It's really, really good. I loved the first book and I'm so excited to see how the second book goes. And then to round it all off with the 25th book for my 25 in 2025, it's going to be Caught Up by Navessa Allen. You guys know I love Lights Out, probably one of my favorite books of the year. The audiobook is incredible. I really hope we get Jacob Morgan again on the audiobook, but if not, that's okay. I'll still listen to the audiobook though. I loved Lights Out, and so I'm really, really excited for Caught Up. That's going to wrap up my 25 in 2025. What is your most anticipated read of 2025? Please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.